Hello and welcome, everybody. Whew, crazy. Not sure what's going on. I've noticed, like, even on my Instagram, um, where notifications aren't going out to people. So I'm not too sure. Notice that some of the notifications came out today for me being online. So that was good. That's good. So let's see what happens today. Sometimes you feel like all of a sudden, oh, there I am. That's good. So, okay. And it's Venus's day. So, no, yeah. Okay, that showed up. So just checking where everything is at today. So welcome everybody and thank you for joining me. My name is Mary June Tracy, psychic medium, spiritual love of life coach. Coming to you with the 411. My auction is on today and it is up there. I have readings. Readings are up there. What else is up there? Readings, workshops. Those are all up there. And it's on. I have it going to about 4:30. May add some little ones in between there, and we'll see how it goes. Today is the first quarter square with the moon in Pisces and sun in Sagittarius. So we have a Piscean Sag energy that's coming in, and this can bring in beautiful possibilities. This is great for surrendering. This is great for allowing for great things to happen with this. And we also have Venus on top of Pluto and conjunct, and that's deep. So we have this energy that's really allowing us to release. And then we have that deep energy that is allowing, having us to release and receive. So this is also where we can see where if we're continuing going down a certain way or a certain path, that it can be truly come crushing down. So it's breaking away a lot. So there's a lot that is breaking away that is no longer in alignment. We're also finding that the journey of letting go, of opening doors, and with this Pisces and Sagittarius energy, it really is there can be some funness with this. There can be because Sag is the light, so lighting within the ethers, lighting up within around us, and bringing in what we would like to have. So coming into that alignment with God, and that God alignment. And this is a deep moment. This is deep energy that what we are going to receive and truly what we are wanting. This is also where we're going to see things come crashing down that in our lives because they're not within the alignment. They're not within that divine energy. And we're coming up to the Saturn square Uranus, which is coming up will be exact on December 24th. Saturn is moving fast. It's direct. And Uranus is retrograde. And so this is where Saturn is wanting to bring in these structures, and we have Mars at the end of Scorpio. So seizing your soul, seizing this energy. And what is totally in divine life, this is flow, this is beautiful, bringing in imagination, bringing in this, for us to stop wasting our energy and begin to consolidate our energy. And powerful doors are beginning to open. So we have these powerful doors that are coming in. And this first quarter square, and it's in Pisces and it's on top of Neptune, it can bring in some craziness, can bring in some psychosis and hysteria. So we may be seeing that within the world. We may be seeing that within the markets. So there might be some hysteria that comes in with the markets and some craziness that's brought in there. And this is also with the belief system. So there is a hyper manic energy that can come in with this as well. So with Jupiter coming in, and it's coming in and it's grasping our soul, we have this, not to let outer control or influences, especially when it comes to Venus on Pluto. This can be very controlling, trying to direct what we in ways of what we want to do and things that we want to do and go against our flow. And we want to bring in the energy of God's will. So stop focusing on what you think you should be doing, or I should be doing this. This is what, this is what, free will. I have free will to choose whatever I want. I'm going to go over here. And God is saying, yeah, you can go over there. You can do that. Yet there is this energy when we focus on God's will and we have that faith, God will, everything is possible. Things unfold for us. We come into that alignment. For those who have taken Journey Club, we know that when our mind and God's mind are one, we're at peace. There's possibilities, there's greatness that can unfold for us. But when we are scattered and we're wanting to go here, there, and everywhere, that is when we find that things in our life may fall apart. And Mars squaring Jupiter, we can force or direct things, we can push things the way that we want to see them with what we think with speed and want to do, but we're not going to be really receiving. We will not receive anything. There's too many crazy little glitches, especially with Jupiter in Aquarius, and trying to control things too much. We're trying to control what the narrative is, or others are trying to control the narrative. And when you see someone trying to control that, it's never works. It just um it falls apart. And that's why it's this is not within the divine will. Today and tomorrow is bringing up a lot to do with God's will or divine's will, source's will. This is to focus us on that direction, focus us on that energy, and to release whatever is holding us from coming into that divineness, coming into that truth, and trying to control the narrative. It makes, you might, it's not going to make you feel the way that you think it's going to make you feel. And with that Neptunian energy, it could bring in a lot of delusions and a lot of, uh, and I keep on getting hysteria coming in. There's so much that's happening right now. We have, where Evergreen, like when we go to outside world. So we look at, so Evergreen, one of the biggest corporations, and Chinese corporations for building. They own properties. Um, they have 30% of the GPD of the of China. They own so many bonds and so many investors are in it. They defaulted yesterday. They defaulted on their loan. What is that going to mean? Well, you saw, if anybody's in Bitcoin, and that there was a dip in Bitcoin, there's going to be a dip within the stock market because there's a lot of investments that are in there and payments. So we're seeing this defaulting, and it causes a disruption within the world. We think, oh, well, it's just China, it doesn't matter. But you got to also think of how much investment China has, or governments, or we as people have in China, in what they produce and what we rely on them for. And when they begin to default, and that's 30%, that's a big chunk. That's a big chunk of revenue, basically. So there is this hysteria that's coming in. And we're being called individually as our within our light to do things naturally, and we're also being called to respect others' boundaries. It's like not forcing other people to do things in a certain way or believe things in a certain way. And sometimes I know it's hard because you want, it's like almost where you want to save them from the crazy and the hysteria and the nuttiness, and sometimes it's just you can't. It's You have to allow their discovery to unfold, especially if they're caught up within the crazy narrative that is being controlled at this time. It's like that Omnicore con or whatever, this new variant that's coming in. It's trying to scare people. It's trying to, like, oh, it's so bad. And another company's coming out, a big one that starts with a P, that is saying, oh, if you get this new elixir, it's going to help you with it. Yet doctors are coming out from South Africa and say there's nothing wrong. It's kind of like a flu kind of energy. You got sort of a slight sore throat, not a bad sore throat. You might feel a little kind of hungover, for a couple days, but it is nothing. And that's because there's a control of the narrative that wants to control things so that they can keep people under lock and key, keep them here. We want to keep you under lock and key. We want to keep you scared. And they're losing that. They're losing that control. They're losing that control. And this is big energies that are coming in. Now, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about on the 19th is showing you
Unknown caller.
what is being unfolded right now and what is happening right now within the world, and how this is going to be unfolding for the collective for 2022. And that is on the 19th. And I'm going to go into it, and I'm going to bring in some of my predictions for what's going to unfold for us in 2022. And it is one that is showing us that we have to come into our light, into that frequency, into that higher frequency of divine light. And this is where we're seeing, this is where, this is where we're building the new beliefs to restart and scrapping the old ones. We're seeing the dismantlement of things. And this is where we're coming into the higher frequencies so that we can dismantle them and bring in our culture, in our ideas, all areas of our lives, and stop projecting onto others, and we come into that harmony. That means that when you go to some place, you sit together with one another. There's not a segregation, but there is this walk, there is this unfolding that's happening. And we saw the transition yesterday also within Germany and the new socialist government come in, and how the police in Germany, the Polizia, or however they say it in German, is horrible. Like, some of the things that they're doing is quite not in the line of love and light, that's for sure. And enforcing the new laws, and we're seeing it in Austria too. The other, it's this alignment, this aligning, this energy that's coming in from the old of us looking at it. This is why it's happening. It's getting us to see, is this the road you want to go upon? And it's when you're following the narrative and you're following, well, I have to do this because of this, and this is leading up to where these alignments are within the horoscope, and within the astrology. So when we see this, when we see where Uranus is, and the alignment of where Uranus is in the alignment when Hitler came in and took over. The evergreen falling down is very similar to what happened to Germany in 1920. So we're seeing these unfolding, yet the correlation, or trying to put it together, where people are like, well, they were going after a religion, yet in actuality, it wasn't so much a religion that they were going after. Yes, that is one part, but they were going and calling people dirty. They were going and calling people that, oh, you're dirty people. and you don't have, and back then it was the TB shot, the tuberculosis shot. You don't have this, so you must be dirty. So you can't go to movies. You can't go to concerts. You can't join in with us. And this is coming into that segregation. This is what's unfolding. This is what we're seeing. And today, this light that's coming in, this one part with, as the moon is squaring the sun, and the Pisces energy and the Sag energy, it is to enlighten us, to get us to step into this frequency, this newness, and allow ourselves, because the signs we walk by each day, they're there, they're hidden, there's signs that are there, but there's a program that is being put there into our belief system. And in this belief system that's being done now, I don't know if you listened to I can see him, he's a Canadian professor, and he's written several books, Peterson. And he talks about this. He talks about the pushing. He talks about how the psychological warfare happens upon people and how they get people to eventually submit. And that's what's beginning to happen, or that's what has been happening over the last couple of years. And that psychological issues are coming in, causing psychological psychosis, and this moon can really bring this out too, this energy too, the psychosis, different forms of hysteria and things along that line. And the next step, is within this, is where people are deemed to be insane or unable to control self. So then they can control the narrative within there and push upon those boundaries. And so that's why it's so important for us to come into our light, because as you come into that light, you're not backing down. You're stepping into your truth. You're growing your own vegetables. You are creating your own prosperity. The outside world makes it difficult because they put the ultimatum on you. They force the narrative of saying, this is what needs to be done. And if you don't do this, then this is going to happen. That's it. And it's like, well, I have no choice. Yet we do have a choice. There is a choice. And that choice is that divine light and coming into it. Is it work? Yes, definitely. There's work there. There is where we have to come into that higher life of living and that beautiful energy, which is there for us to grab a hold on. And it's a wake-up call. And that Venus on Pluto is getting us to awaken, getting us to say, hey, because she's right there. Pluto's right there. They're in Capricorn. It's about our structures. It's about our values. And this is where you have a choice. Are you going to be the ostrich, bury your head in the sand, have more sand thrown on you? Or are you going to rise up and say, this is what I need to do? And this is really a whole energetic switch that's coming in. And bringing forth that divine will, that energy with the divine, with God, and having us step into more of the peace and the light of the direction that we want to go forth in. That's where the energies are. Is there a battle on hand? Yes, there's a battle on hand. The battle is to stand in your light, stand in your truth of what your values are. This is a changing into our new beliefs. We're scrapping the ones that are no longer in alignment in us. It is a total dismantlement. We're seeing it. We have to come in. What do we want to implement? What do we want to create? There's some real positive movements that are coming in. There's some people even within the political realm that are fighting this and saying no, we're not going to go along with this. And that's so important. That's so important. But we're seeing that things are coming to a dismantlement. I know there's a lot that's going to be coming in. And right now in the States, the US is trying to fix their dollar. The United States dollar backs many currencies in the world. And a lot is based on the United States currency. But they're trying to fix their dollar at this time. Fixing their dollar means one thing, and it means something that we don't like to talk about. China, which is no longer is taking a nosedive. We don't want to talk about that. But the thing is that when we realize it and we understand it and we step into our light, we can bring in something that is new and creative and bringing in that change and allowing for that frequency to rise up. And that's where we need to really focus on within this all. A lot of, because I'm looking at my notes and I'm trying, people don't like sometimes what I say, because I bring truth in what I'm doing. And the truth is because people have to awaken to the truth in order to come into their light. Not just come into your light and you're just totally blinded and you don't see anything else that's going on. But this is where you understand, so you don't follow that narrative. And that's why it's such, especially with the Saturn coming up squaring Uranus, we're coming up to a Venus retrograde, we're coming into a full moon in Gemini. This is coming into the truth, the transformation, and where we want to be the director and be the participant within our life, to be there and to create some really fucking awesome energy. But through that, there is a lot of work that we have to do. It just doesn't happen with a magic wand. Yesterday also was passed. They didn't pass for women to go into the draft in the United States. Why would they be talking about the draft? The draft has never been taken away. So something is on the books. Something is happening. We know that. We feel it. And I've said before, this is like very World War II energy that I'm feeling, the depression and how that really transformed people's lives and how they deal with things. This also brought in a lot of communities that really came together to help one another. And that's the other beauty about this is coming together in community, being able to help one another, being able to create with other people. That's the other part of the beauty of all of this. And when we see this, it's not to turn our backs. It's not to turn our backs. It's not to be an asshole either. But it's also to see where the direction that is happening. And I saw one video of it, it was from Germany, and like there's five or six policemen around one woman, and she looked like she was older than I am, so I'd put her in her 70s or so. But he wouldn't let go of her wrist, and he was basically saying, this is the law, you have to abide from it, you have to listen to what the law has to say. It's a basic translation from English to Germany, from German to English. And because she didn't have her special pass on her, and they were wanting to apprehend her. So this is what we're seeing. Yet it can change. It can really change the more we come together, because this isn't just against one group. This is against all groups, all people. Doesn't matter. And when we come together and you don't back down, when you come together and you stand in that light, because the thing is, it's like how the psychological warfare is going to be, it's being played out, is that they say something, they say, okay, no more mandates, go ahead, and then 2 months down the road, boom, you can't do this. This is like, and people like, they yell, they scream, and then comply. So they move back a step and they move forward. And it's only one step, one step, one step, one step, one step till you're in a corner. That's where we're at. This is what people have to understand. This is what the astrology is trying to show us. Next year, one of the themes, there's two things I keep coming into. One is Alice in Wonderland, and one is Fantasia. Both are crazy, crazy movies, and crazy, taking you down rabbit holes and taking you into change and transformation. But the thing is the one thing about Fantasia is that, if you haven't watched it, it's an old movie by Disney, is that Mickey Mouse had to learn what to do. What were the steps that he had to do to be Merlin, to be that apprentice? And right now we're all apprentices. And to understand that we're apprentices, to understand that we have urges, and we want to go and we want to do things, and this is what we want to do because this is our right. But we have to learn how to create those changes, how to stand into them, how to work within our shadows. The fairy workshop that I'm doing it's a 15-week workshop. Absolutely. Because it is one that is not just, when you work with fairies, fairy work is working with your shadow. Fairy brings in the god and the goddess. Fairies bring in that balance. That's what it does. And there's a lot of cleansing and clearing when we're working with the fairies. And it is a constant practice. Like, we do it. And the book that I work from, and I've been utilizing this book for over 20 plus years. Honestly, I have. And that is To Be a Goddess. And this is what I base my class on. And it's up on the auction right now. So it's 15 weeks and it is amazing. It opens up your intuition. It brings in a fierceness, a beautifulness, and allows you to identify the wild and the dangerous as all of the old ones. It brings in the sexuality, it brings in the healing. And I really, this one is right in a line with my Journey Club. I love it because even with the Journey Club, it's 8 weeks, and that one's in September. It has you work with a lot of your shadow work and coming into your alignment. Here, this brings in ritual. This brings in the basis of ritual, and the ritual of the breathing, and the vitality of the living power and energy substance called mana. This is called chi. This is the energy, because it is the matter of which all things are made, and is the basic tool to any spell crafting. If you have to have the breath, you're breathing things into life. You're breathing that energy and that substance. That's what's so beautiful about doing the Fae workshop and coming into that mysticism. This is allowing us to come into that spiral dance, to cast the spells and to work. This is bringing in the fun and the fine food and the happy family. That's what it does. This is allowing for you to have the romance and to have the beauty in your life, because you're coming into the divine will. You're coming into the alignment with the God and the goddess. And when you're coming in alignment, that means things will unfold. That means you understand there is a balance to everything. There's a forward and a backward motion to things. And you learn to take those magical baths and come into that sheer pleasure of being human. Beautiful. And if you are wanting to, it's up there. It starts at $80 for, or um, in the auction. But this is bringing in wording. And that's why even within this, like we talk about the wording, we talk about how you put your words together, because words have power, and how they say things, wording. So watching the wording, and you see that within newspaper, like you watch how things are worded, and you, if you know, watching is that, you know, watching the pronouns, watching the verbs, you know, seeing, especially because that's a way of manipulating people. And sometimes for myself, because I do have dyslexia, so I see things, you know, a word won't always be the word that I see. So I know for myself that I have to go back and I have to look at things and read very carefully what is written, so I don't just skim over it. And that's one of the biggest pieces to this, is that we can't just skim over things. So this is bringing in the light and the renewal and the passion for us, and getting us to really look into a lot that is unfolding for us at this time. We are going to be seeing, trying to put more control. In New Zealand, they're trying to raise the age for smoking so that they can delete smoking altogether. You know, right up to, like, they're starting at, I think, 14, and then they're going to raise the age to nobody at 16, and then to 18, and then to 21, then to 25. They have a where they want to eliminate all smoking. Well, what else do they want to eliminate? Whether you think, whether you know, believe in smoking or don't believe in smoking, it's still a control. It's a control factor. This is some kind of crazy, and crazy energies that we're, you know, we're coming more into us, really bringing in the bricks of light, bringing in those transformations that we need to bring forth, and vibrating. So it is a dismantlement. This whole year has been a dismantlement. This whole year has been a year of us reevaluating what we value and our belief system. And my heart goes out to anybody out there who falls into the narrative, and falls into the part where they say that, oh, well, they should know better and they should just shop from home. Why? Isn't that what they said to the Jews in World War II? Oh, they're trespassing. Are they trespassing? Do you know the laws of the trespassing? This is where we stand into the power. That's power of light, is understanding these things, because then we can stand together and come in the truth. There's a lot here, and a lot's unfolding. A lot of this really, it really, my heart aches in many parts of this, as I, you know, seeing it and seeing it unfold. My heart goes out to those in Germany and Austria, and for us here in Canada as well. It's more, you can't sit down and be idle, you know, and think it's cool. Well, this is going to save me. This elixir is going to save me. No, it's not going to save you. What's going to save you is your truth and your light, and coming into you and your divineness. That's what's going to save us, for each and every one of us, without judgment. Without judgment. That means being able, if I can shop with you all day, why can't I sit and break bread with you? Why can't we come together in union? Because it's scary when you bring people to sit around a table. It's scary when people meet to break bread. That's scary. Because if you come together and break bread, that means we're talking, we're conversing, we're laughing. We don't want you to converse. We don't want you to make plans. We don't want you to laugh. But that's where the light is, to come together and break bread, come together in union, especially physically. So when you cannot come together physically to break bread with one another, that's trying to stop the light from coming together. That's why it's so important. That's why I do right now. Things are on Zoom. I wish I had my own platform to do it on my own platform, because then you come together and it's my platform. It's my thing. Anyways, it's not there. But coming together from all different parts of the world. That's why I love teaching. And I think that's one of the reasons why my guides were forcing so much for me in 2017, 2016, and 2017 to get online. It's when I, started to do Periscope and I was doing Periscope before then, but really pushing to get me onto Periscope at first, because Periscope was a platform. And the thing is that the reason why Twitter took because they owned it, Twitter took Periscope down, is because they couldn't control the narrative. It was very difficult to control the narrative on Periscope. Periscope broke news of the tyranny that was coming into Hong Kong and how the Chinese government went in and took over Hong Kong. You don't hear anything about it anymore, do you? Because they're not allowing that out. They were the ones who started to talk about things that were going wrong in Cuba and in other countries, because the narrative wasn't controlled. People were coming together to share it, but it was becoming too strong. So they had to take it away. So they want to dismantle things that where they can control it. That's why sometimes you get my notifications and don't. Not that I'm a big, huge influencer out there. I'm not. I'm a tiny drop in the bucket. But that tiny drop in the bucket, that tiny vibration, can cause some huge waves, because I'm wanting to ignite you. And not everybody, and I'm going to say it again, are going to like what I say, because I'm asking you to wake the fuck up. I'm asking you to stand in your power and not follow that narrative and not go towards that. It's like the bug going towards the zapper, right? And getting zapped. So all my workshops I'm going to be putting up there. This auction is going on till the end of December, because I really want to get people into my classes. My classes isn't I love people questioning and coming in. I don't want to follow a narrative, not at all. I want to be able to share the knowledge I have, and have you share your knowledge. And I love that of doing that. I'm not big on organizations. I don't belong to any affiliations or organizations. That was a big thing for me. And I remember one time I was taking a class with this, and I'm trying to think of her name, but she was absolutely fabulous. And actually, no word of a lie, she channeled Elvis. Like she had a past life regression. In one of the past, she didn't come in or get born into this life, into her one life she was supposed to come in, because I think Elvis was supposed to have a twin or something. But when she channeled him, her nose would go blue. It was the craziest thing. And when she went to Hawaii, there was a place where you could go and you could pick out pearls, and in this one shop. And she was told, go, like she could hear Elvis talking to her and said, go, because she was going to all the places that they filmed and everything else, because he loved Hawaii. So anyway, she went into this one place and to pick out a pearl. And so she picked out one beautiful pearl to make it, and they would make a necklace there for you, And she says, well, I need to pick out 4. And she goes, I need to pick out for a set of earrings. And they told her that, sometimes you're not going to get exact. Like, it's very hard to find, perfect pearls, right? She found two more that were almost like identical and matched the one that she was doing for her necklace. And they said, okay, we will make this into a necklace and your earrings in there. And she goes, I have to pick out one more. And the girl said, okay, sure. All right. So she's picking out, because through the oysters, picking out would which clam, I think it's a clam, would have the pearl in it. So she picked out one and she picked out this other one. And so when they opened it, it was this huge, beautiful. And she goes, oh my God, this is fabulous. This is worth a lot of money. Like, um, this pearl. And she goes, okay, that's no problem. She paid for it and she said, this one is for you, the big one. She goes, this one's for you to make whatever you want. She goes, you might think this is silly, but she goes, I have a fondness for Elvis Presley, and this is for you from Elvis. And she almost started crying. The reason being, she says, you've got to come into the back room and meet my father. Her father was an elderly gentleman in the back room. Picture of him and Elvis was on the floor because when he was in Hawaii, Elvis was one of the people that came in and they filmed in by his place. Him and Elvis had quite a rapport, and she could not believe it. And so, anyways, a gift for him. So, that story it always makes me want to cry because it is so powerful, because she believed. She believed in that light when everybody thought that, oh, how could you believe in Elvis? How could you? I have another clients that work with Michael Jackson. And no word of a lie, when I first met these two beautiful women, I have Michael Jackson cards, oracle cards that they made, and a Michael Jackson storybook that they channeled and they created. Siren did. And when they walked in, when I was I was at one place, anyways, can't remember. I was doing readings and they came in and they both sat down and they're sitting there and I'm just like, okay, you girls might think this is crazy. They didn't tell me anything about themselves. They sat down and to get a reading. I said, you might think this is crazy, but Michael's, I said, she goes, I said, this is crazy, but I think Michael Jackson's here. Do you worry? And they both burst out laughing because I could feel his songs, like, and him, and I could feel like somebody dancing like Michael Jackson in my room. And I felt that energy and they laughed and they says, yeah, well, we do work with, for Michael Jackson's memorial and foundation. I was like, holy fuck. So it was crazy. It was crazy. But people thought they were nutty and stupid and they shouldn't do this. But man, they believed, they knew because he spoke to them. He spoke to them. And that's the whole thing about coming into the light. It might seem crazy or people aren't going to believe you. How could you have this, or why are you, things are working out for you because you're coming to that light. It's just like another client where she needed an operation, and the operation was going to cost her over $30,000 to get this operation, and she didn't have it. She was an artist. She didn't have it. She, you know, $30,000 just doesn't pop out. And so she went out and she loved trees. She talked to trees. So she had a lot of fae in her. She went and talked to the trees. And as she sat out in the trees, this is what she did. She sat and she got focused. She goes, dear trees. And she did her little thing with the trees. And she sat there and she said, I'm in need of $30,000. I need to have this operation. And this operation is to help me to continue on my life and to do the things that I do. But if I don't have this operation, I could die. And I'm not ready to die. That's what she said. I'm not ready to die. And I'm putting it out there. I'm open to however this unfolds. And so she said, and she did her little offerings and stuff to the trees, thanked them, and went on her way. And a month later, she gets a notification. She gets somebody who a notice. And a client who she helped a long time ago got an inheritance. And I guess one of the things they always said, if I could ever help you out or whatever I can do, I'm going to make sure I can help you out. Part of his inheritance, he gave her over $30,000. That's living in the light. That's the frequency. That is telling you that right now. And people are doing it. And this frequency is coming in and it's high. It is vibrating. It is there. Yeah, there's some crazy shit that's going on in the world. Yeah, we're on the verge of another probably world war in some format. But through that, there's some beautiful, awesome things that are happening. And people are coming into their light more and more and more so than they did in the 30s and the 40s, more so than the 50s and the 60s, more so than the last convergence in 1987. The light's here and the frequencies are high. It's us walking into it and believing and coming into our alignment with God. And however you align yourself with that God, it's yours. But I'm going to tell you, sometimes it's going to feel, because we're earthlings, we're humans, and we feel fucked up and we feel like shit is fucked and life is fucked and that's why we have beautiful psychics. That's why we have people who've been doing this work for a long time, like myself, who can help you and aid you and show you and read your chart and give you some guidance. It's part of our job. Not tell you what to do, but help you and guide you and show you the roads and the opportunities that are coming in. Show you, you got a Saturn return coming. Life is going to be a little bit bumpy. I got a Saturn return coming. My road is very bumpy right now. My sun has been squaring Saturn all this fucking year since Saturn came into Aquarius, along with my Neptune and my Mercury. Yeah, it's there. So with my Mercury being in Scorpio, that means some things aren't going to get out the way they need to get out, especially squaring. It's having me do things in new ways, in new innovative ways, and not give up, to be persistent, to show up, even when I don't have anybody online and I feel like I'm talking to myself. Which happens. Nobody showed up on my Instagram one this morning. That's fine. I just continued on. That's what you got to do. You just got to continue on. It reminds me of, with Yogi Bhaji when he first came into the United States, and he was sent from India to bring Kundalini yoga to the white yogis. That's what they call us, the white yogis. And he put a sign out, Kundalini yoga. You know how many people showed up? Nobody showed up. Did it again the next day. Did it again the next day. Did it the next day. And his wife was saying, are you sure this is what we were supposed to be doing? Nobody's showing up and we got rent to pay. And he goes, I know, but I'm still here. And that's the thing, is showing up. And to all of you, I am still here. I'm still showing up. And I will continue to show up each and every day with people here or without people here. Same with my auction. My auction is here to the end of December to help and aid you so that you can get readings at a good price and help me pay my rent and put the lights on. Somebody asked me, it's like, have you done any Christmas shopping? I'm like, no, I haven't done any Christmas shopping. I am just still trying. I said, right now, we're treading water. Husband isn't really working, which is, I know things are going to work out. That's fine. But it's taking each step as it comes and allowing for this alignment to come in and knowing that God has my back. That's the beautiful thing, that God has my back. And I know that. And even though people get mad at me on Facebook, and they refused, and then they tell me I'm not spiritual, fuck off. I really don't give a shit, because I know my spirituality. I know my truth. And I know when people say those things to me, I know that you're questioning your faith as well. And you just want things just to be just to go back to the way it was, or some easier path. But there is no easier path right now. There is no easier path. I'm letting you know, because when you're walking in the light, people don't like to be the light to be shone on them, because it shows they're ugly, and we don't want to see your ugly. And I'm going to say, I want to see your ugly, because I show you my ugly every fucking day, because that's just part of life. And that's our shadow side. So stand in your light. Show who you are. Show your brightness. If you believe in Elvis and you're channeling him, fucking tell people. If you believe in Michael Jackson, you're channeling, go for it. Inspire. Create that inspiration. And allow for yourself to shine in that beautiful uniqueness of who you are. And that's all part of this Pisces Sag energy. So have a blessed one, everybody. Thank you for all of those who have supported me in my auction. Thank you for all who have supported me in my past. You are all beautiful, shining lights. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for those who don't like me, because you're making me stronger. Thank you. Thank you for those who send me nasty notes and want to save my soul. Thank you. Thank you. Because you know what? It just makes me even stronger. Just an FYI. It doesn't deter me from stop doing what I'm doing. It just makes me ever more stronger in doing what I'm doing. And do I get upset and cry? Yeah, some days I just sit down and cry, because it does feel like a lot, because I am human. But I also sit down and I'll have a glass of wine with my husband and laugh our heads off. So, because of the craziness. Sending you all out so much love today. And may the Lord and the Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you in all that you say and all that you be and all that you do. Have a blessed day. If you are interested in the Peek into 2022, it is December 19th. It is recorded. It is $50, and people will be getting a reading. And for the reading part, I'll probably stop the recording so that the readings are personal and they're not recorded, because some people don't want their reading recorded. If you do, I'll keep it on. We'll put that decision up when we are when we're together as a group. So definitely let me know. Limited space for that too, because I want to give everybody a reading with it. So join me for the Peek into 2022, which is December 19th, which is a full moon, and Mercury and Venus goes retrograde on that day. It's the reason I chose it. Blessed be, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.